Hi there. We are about to get into a really fun topic that we're going to stick with for a couple weeks. And so I want to show you something that I put on the homepage that is just super duper fun. So it is called the Harvard Dialect Survey. So this topic that we're getting into this week is called sociolinguistics, or sometimes it's called dialectology. It's all about dialects or varieties of language. In this case, we are really looking at varieties of English. And so this is a survey that you can do, and I really encourage you to do it. It's really, really fascinating. It's totally free. There are ads that you have to deal with, but when you go into the survey, it just asks you these questions, and you just pick the one that just sounds more natural to you. Which one do you use? So for me, I naturally say you guys. And then it's going to show, okay, you guys, the most similar is, yeah, right over here, least similar over here. And you just go through. And it's just really cool. And then at the end, it'll kind of give you the overview. So that's the first thing. And then of course I have the, soda pop Coke one. That's kind of the famous one. Okay, so let's get into our module here. And we've got 3 assignments. So 1 Wednesday, 2 Sunday. The first one is a quiz. This documentary is absolutely fascinating, and it is dated, it is old, but I really think that you're gonna enjoy it when you watch it. It's about an hour long, but it's really, really good. And so the quiz is just based on it, and you should see the answers in order. So my suggestion here, you do have 3 attempts. I don't think that you're gonna have too much trouble finding the answers, but my suggestion to you is to, because there are 20 questions, quite a few, look at the questions first, and maybe even try to have them in front of you as you're watching, if that's possible at all, just to make it easier on yourself. Okay. Then we're going to get into, and the dialect that we're focusing on for this week is African American English Vernacular. Okay, so AAEV. And what I have for you are a couple of articles here. It does take you out to these websites. This is just a summary of the different features, and I'm looking for one phonological feature. So one sound feature that is different from standard English, one morphology feature. So look for some kind of inflectional ending that is different from standard English, one syntactic difference, so one grammar difference, like something in the sentence structure, something with grammar that's different from standard English. And you're going to find that in these websites. Okay, so that is the first thing, just list. All right, so the point here is that we're just looking for the features, just to list. All right, then our last thing that we're going to be doing is a discussion. And some of you may have seen this movie. It's a little bit old, but it does deal with African American English vernacular versus standard English. So take a look. There's a little movie clip right here, kind of a little trailer. So you'll get an idea of what it's about. And read through this, and then just kind of gives you an idea. You can browse through these websites, but you don't necessarily have to read them very carefully. I don't think that you need to study them too much. What I would like you to do, though, is do read this website right here. So this will tell you about this controversy, and basically, it happened in 1996, and then the fallout was like 97, 98. So this was right actually around the time that I first started teaching linguistics. My very first class that I taught was in 1999, and this was in the news at that time. And this was a huge thing that we used to talk about, and everybody had an opinion about this. We used to have great, great conversations, and then it just, it just fell out of the news and people forgot about it. So I just want to remind you about it. Many of you probably have never heard about this, but trust me, this was something that was on like 24/7. Everybody was talking about this. All the politicians, everybody on the news was talking about this. It was like huge controversy what the Oakland School Board was doing. Basically, in a nutshell, what they wanted to do was to declare that Ebonics was its own language, just like Spanish or Hmong or Armenian or Arabic would be. Okay, and why they wanted to do that? Basically because they wanted to get more funding, because they wanted to say that their students, which were largely African American in the school district, they felt they wanted to get the extra funding that ESL or English learner students in other school districts were getting. So that's kind of, why they did it, because they wanted to get the same support and the same funding that those other school districts were doing it. And so they came up with this idea, and it was just a huge amount of backlash. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, I do want to caution you about this. We are going to have a discussion in our class about this. There's something about language and identity that is very, very personal to each and every person's identity. And if you are only a native speaker of English, if you really don't know any other languages, and you aren't really a code switcher, you just really speak standard English and that's it, you may not be aware of this, but the language that you speak is such a huge part of your identity. It's really part of your culture. And so when people criticize language, it really feels personal that they are criticizing you. And so I just want to caution you, when we're having this discussion, just be very sensitive to that, to know that on one hand, people don't realize that they're being critical, and on the other hand, be sensitive the way that you are discussing it, so that you understand that it is very personal for people. The way that they speak is, and the way that they use language is a very personal and sensitive part of their identity. Okay, so just be careful. I know you can do it. This is a great, great class, and you are super great. And I know that you can, have a really respectful conversation. And this is just such a really important topic. Really, we're going to approach this like linguists, and this is a sociological topic. It's an anthropological topic. So we're going to approach this the way an anthropologist would approach this, which is really looking at patterns and looking at the attitudes that people have about these different dialects, and kind of examining that, why do people have these very strong reactions? I mean, this ad right here, why do people have such a strong, visceral, emotional reaction to this? Either way, good or bad, why do they? It's a really, really interesting thing to think about, okay, and talk about, and we're going to have that discussion. So I'm really, really looking forward to it. And this is our topic that we're going to be doing this week. Next week, we're going to get into a really, really cool topic, and that's language and gender, which is also really fun. So stick with it, and I can't wait to get into the discussion with you guys. Okay. Let me know if you have any questions or problems with anything, and I'll be talking to you later. All right, bye-bye.